Each March during Kidney Health Month, we celebrate World Kidney Day, a global campaign and partnership to raise awareness of the importance of our kidneys and overall health, and to reduce the frequency and impact of kidney disease. This year, World Kidney Day is focused on kidneys and women's health. While kidney disease has no gender, race, or age, there are some differences between males and females in the way that chronic kidney disease manifests, progresses, and impacts the body. This year, we are taking a look at the few of the things you should know about your kidneys as a woman, whether you have kidney disease or not. Women's health comes with unique considerations. One thing we know for certain is that women of reproductive age face different complications than men when it comes to kidney disease. Today we are here with kidney patient Elyse Gawley, and she is going to share her story about kidney disease and how it impacts her life today and how it might impact her life in the future as she considers one day having a family of her own. Welcome, Elyse. Elyse, you have a type of kidney disease called polycystic kidney disease. Can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, polycystic kidney disease, or PKD for short, is a genetic disease that affects both kidneys, and it causes fluid-filled cysts to grow in the kidneys and eventually likely leading to full kidney failure.
Now, you mentioned that polycystic kidney disease is an inherited disease, and I'm going to come back to that point in a minute. But I wanted to first explore how polycystic kidney disease impacts your life on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I have to make sure that I'm constantly aware of my overall nutrition and my health, and making sure that I'm exercising a lot. And also water intake is a huge component of a healthy kidney lifestyle. So I make sure I try and drink 3 liters of water a day, which can be a challenge.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it'll reduce kidney infections and it'll also reduce kidney stones, which are 2 side effects that I struggle with.
And when it comes to diet, are there specific things that you have a lot of or are encouraged not to eat?
Right now, the biggest thing is monitoring my salt and sodium intake and making
Right.
sure that I don't eat a lot of fast food and stuff like that.
And that's an important point for anyone, whether you have kidney disease or not. They're saying, limit your sodium.
Yeah.
So what's interesting here, and we let off at the beginning that this Kidney Health Month is all about women and women in chronic kidney disease. And when it comes to chronic kidney disease, there's specific things, considerations for how it impacts women. And one of the ways that it does that, of course, is around family planning.
Yes.
And what that looks like. I mean, that obviously is an important part of what anyone goes through in life, considering whether or not they're going to start a family. And when you have kidney disease, that there's certain considerations or it has definite impacts on even your ability to have children. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
There's really two sides of this, or 2 levels, as you said. So one is having chronic kidney disease and the medication you have to take, and it either inhibits the ability to get pregnant or makes it a challenge. And also the medication I have to take makes it actually very dangerous to get pregnant at this stage. So I would have to make sure that I'm off the medication, because the side effects, there's severe birth defects that could happen with the medication I have to take. So there's a lot of components, and then of course the genetic side. The kidney disease I have a 50-50 chance of passing that down to any children that I have.
So that's the PKD, the fact it's inherited. So you raised, and I want to go back to an earlier point you mentioned, is that with the medications you're currently on, you would have to stop them in order to get pregnant, but that could lead you into kidney failure.
Yeah, exactly. So the blood pressure medication I'm on right now. So I would have to make a whole change of all the medications I take before I even consider getting pregnant, and then you have to wait a certain amount of time after that to ensure that you adjust to that medication change.
So for you, one of the big things, I guess, is a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And after you have a transplant, I think your options for getting pregnant increase significantly. Your ability to conceive, because you're not on the same medications that you are.
But then you're also on other medications so I think you're supposed to wait a year after you have a transplant, because there's some medications that you take that could affect conceiving as well.
And then, of course, as we said, looping on top of that is the fact that you have kidney disease, but you have a type that's called polycystic kidney disease, which is an inherited kidney disease, and that adds another complication.
Yeah, that will never go away. So even after transplant, I will always have the chance of passing it on to any future children.
So how does this, having this condition, how does this impact what you think about your future for having children? Because, you know, it's something that I'm sure when you get together with your friends, you know, these topics come up. You talk about marriage and children, you know, it's just it's a natural part of what we do, you know, going through life. And so what does that look like for you? Do you know at this point?
I would love to have kids, so I hope that's in my future. So I guess it's just waiting and seeing what happens.
Wow, so PKD has been in your family for 3 generations now, with your grandfather, your father, your uncle, and of course now you. And can you talk a little bit about some of the changes maybe that you've seen over the years?
Yeah, so I have a long-standing family history of PKD. My grandfather had it, and he passed away when I was about 2 with complications from PKD. My dad has it. He had a transplant about 16 years ago. And my uncle also has it, my dad's only brother. And so he had a transplant about 6 years ago now. And so I only have one brother, and we both had a 50-50 chance of having it. And with the roll of the dice, I got it, and somehow he didn't.
So when did your family first tell you that you may have polycystic kidney disease?
Yeah, I was about 10 when my parents sat me down and told me that my dad had it and that he was going to need a transplant within the year. And they also told me at that point that I had a 50-50 chance of having it, and my dad really explained, you know, the disease to me and that it was genetic. But then I waited until I was about in my early 20s, I think I was about 21 when I decided to find out, and it was actually because my uncle was very sick at the time and needed a transplant. So I was going through the process to see if I had it, and then if I didn't, I was going to go down the road of potentially being a donor.
So you've waited over 10 years to find out whether or not you had PKD. That must have been hard. Was it always on your mind? Was it something that never left you over that time before you found out?
It's really just part of who I am, and you know, I try to look at it in a positive way, and it's really not the worst thing that could have affected me. And my dad decided to go through and have kids, so it's not like I don't want to be here. So I kind of think about that as you know, any future kids that I have. And I'm lucky too with polycystic kidney disease. It doesn't really affect a lot of other organs, whereas you know, a lot of CKD patients have other severe complications. So once I get a transplant, the future is very bright that I won't have other complications and that I'll go on to live a very healthy life. The transition between, or the change or difference between when my grandfather was sick, my dad 16 years ago had a transplant, even with my uncle 10 years after that, there was huge strides in medical advancements in regards to, you know, what the future would potentially have for my children, so any future children I have. So for example, my dad, when he had his transplant 16 years ago, the donor surgery was much more harsh than it was for when my uncle had his surgery and the donor that donated for him. So that was huge, and the medications are much different now. I know that there's a lot of people that have transplant now that don't have to go on really severe anti-rejection meds like my dad did. So, you know, there's a lot of hope. And then there's also medication that, you know, is available now potentially, like Toplovan, that I'm part of a research group for, and hopefully one day I'll be able to try that out and see if that helps. And we are very fortunate to live in Canada and have such great medical care, and my doctors are phenomenal. So I'm very fortunate in that way as well. You know, there are many of our viewers out there are probably thinking, you know, in a similar situation. Yeah. Maybe they don't have kidney disease, but they've got something else, and similar questions come up. So, you know, I know it can be kind of a personal thing to share, but I really, really do appreciate you coming in and sharing your story and giving hope to everyone else out there. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Elyse.